Over the next 4 weeks, Dan and I will be focusing on sleep, since many of our clients say an inability either to fall asleep or to get back to sleep after early awakening poses a major problem for them. So let's start by answering 3 basic questions. Why do we sleep? How long should we sleep for? And what happens if we don't get enough sleep? Now, answer to the first question is actually the hardest of all, because even people who have spent a lifetime studying sleep, and we know all animals and birds do sleep, have no idea why actually we need to sleep. There are, of course, many theories about this. Some scientists believe that we sleep in order to conserve energy. Others say that we sleep in order to restore the metabolic balance of the brain, while others, including the late Nobel Prize winning scientist Francis Crick, of course the father of DNA, say that we sleep in order to try and make sense of all the information which the brain has gathered during the day. But really, the jury is still out, and the answer is nobody knows. Now, let's look at the second question we posed. How long should we sleep for? Now, it used to be thought, and maybe this is something your parents or your grandparents told you, that you had to sleep for 8 hours. This was the ideal, and anything less than 8 hours led to fatigue and inability to concentrate, increasing errors, and when chronic, it undermined your mental and physical well-being. More recent research has shown that our need for sleep varies considerably throughout our life, and that too much sleep can actually be as detrimental as too little. So, what's the right amount? Well, the answer depends on how old you are. By 2 to 4 months, infants tend to sleep more at night than during the day, and will occasionally do so for 5 or 6 hours at a stretch. By 6 months, around 6 out of 10 babies will sleep through the night, and by 9 months, 80% will do so. The most critical changes occur at puberty. Teenagers, as any parent will testify, tend to find it very hard to get up in the morning. This is not so much due to laziness as a resetting of their biological clocks, and this makes it much harder for them to wake up early, to get up early, and indeed some educational authorities are now recognising this and starting their classes slightly later, which does seem to improve concentration in many cases. Our ability to sleep declines continuously with age. By 65, daily average sleep is less than 6 hours. There are, however, many individuals, described as long sleepers, who get more than 9 hours sleep a night. So, which has the greater impact on life expectancy? The perhaps surprising answer is that researchers have found a higher risk of mortality associated with both short and long sleep. One recent study, for example, found that individuals who sleep between 5 and 6.5 hours a night are likely to live longer than those who sleep either less than 5 hours or more than 7 hours each night. Finally, let's consider what happens when we fail to get enough sleep. With so many of you probably starting your holidays by driving away early in order, usually it doesn't work, to beat the rush hour, I thought I'd look at the way in which a deprivation of sleep affects just one of our activities, the ability to drive safely. In an experiment which I conducted at the famous racetrack Brands Hatch, I recruited a number of drivers, people who drive regularly, and they included the racing driver, the professional racing driver Jason Plato. And what I did, I prevented them from sleeping for 24 hours, and during this period we regularly tested them on a simulator to see how their driving performance deteriorated. A number of television companies were interested in this work, and one of them, Meridian TV, made a video which I'll now show you.
British touring car champion Jason Plato in action at Silverstone. His reactions are super fast on the track, but here in an experiment at Brands Hatch he's been awake for 24 hours as part of a test designed to reveal just how much lack of sleep reduces a motorist's ability to drive safely. Toward the end of the test, the simulator shows he's simply not in a fit state mentally or physically to be driving.
It's one of motoring's evils, and yet it's often overlooked, and we've all done it. I mean, I put my hands up. I've driven home tired and been, stretching my eyes and had the window down, but none of this works.
As part of the test, researchers also looked at Jason's brain patterns. 24 hours without sleep, and he's unable to read a script he'd sailed through yesterday.
Sarah saw a shot silk sash, shop full of shot silk sashes.
But, if you've spent a lot of time, say, being the non-drinking driver at a party because you're going to run all your friends home and you haven't had any sleep and maybe the party's breaking up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, which is a point when your body clock, anyhow, is at its lowest ebb, you are going to be a very, very dangerous driver behind the wheel.
Brighton housewife Sue Jackson volunteered to take part in the test.
You seem to be doing okay so far.
Yeah, I'm holding it with 2 hands.
All right.
If I let that go, just do it with one.
Oh, straight away.
Yeah, it wouldn't be very good at all. My hands
You can really
shaking.
see that your actions are impaired, but by how much do you think?
A lot. A lot.
And how do you feel within yourself just now?
Well, I'm just really tired. I've been up for 24 hours now, and I don't think I'd be able to get into a car and drive.
So the simple message today was watch out, deaths and serious injuries are on the increase. Don't drive when you're tired. David Glencross at Brands Hatch for Meridian Tonight.
In summary, while regular exercise, a healthy diet, drinking alcohol in moderation and not smoking will reduce your risk of a fatal or non-fatal heart attack by over half and the risk of a fatal attack by 2/3. When combined with sufficient sleep each night, the risks fall even more steeply. In our next video blog, Dan will be describing his own approach to ensuring a good night's sleep, while I'll be back in 2 weeks' time to offer practical tips for better sleeping. Until then, goodbye.